Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. You know me, just chilling and training for
Yeah.
my soon-to-be calling, so I'm excited.
Yeah. That soon to be very secret calling. Um, um Sorry, I'm just giggling because I'm very excited for today's topic. Well, no, I actually am excited. I mean, I was being sarcastic, but I actually am excited. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Scary Talk episode 70. We made it past episode 61. Yeah, I know. I didn't think we were gonna either. Hope you like that one. So here we are, episode 70. Only 30 more episodes to episode 100, where Sunny and I will inevitably die.
Time for the
That's the epic finale.
podcast.
That's how the podcast ends. It's, go big or go home. So that's the plan. But in the meantime, welcome all to episode 70. I hope you're all doing well, staying home and staying safe. Today we are talking conspiracy theories for the fourth time. Y'all love this, so do I. So here we are. Sunny, I know that you have something very, very interesting that you want to talk to us about. And actually, any kind of pre-topic banter that I want to do in this instance actually is included within my topic. So I'm actually gonna leave that for when I'm talking about my thing. So we can just go right in.
Okay, perfect. So my topic is, pretty casual, pretty chill, not that big of a deal, doesn't affect our daily lives very much, and it is Big Pharma.
Emphasis on big.
Yes, huge horse dick
Huge
pharma.
pharma.
Yes, so the Big Pharma conspiracy theory, as a recap definition, is a group of conspiracy theories that claim that the medical community in general, and pharmaceutical companies in particular, especially large corporations, operate for sinister purposes and against the public good, and that they allegedly cause and worsen a wide range of diseases. So, there are a few specific keys to this conspiracy theory. Namely, well, first of all, it has a lot of traction. So, the idea that Big Pharma has a cure for cancer and is suppressing it so that they can maintain a profit is believed by as much as 27% of the American public, according to a 2005
Wow.
survey. Yeah. And the argument is that pharmaceutical companies are slowing down research for a comprehensive cure for cancer by developing high-profit, single-purpose treatments rather than focusing on a supposedly cure-all for all cancers. However, the idea that holding back a cure would result in more profit than presenting one is not considered a very strong argument. So that I agree with, that I'm not sure I believe that they would hold back a cure so much as give it out and then make it cost $8 million per person.
True. Kind of like the isn't there some coronavirus medication, something? I don't want to be misinformed
Oh,
here,
yeah,
but
yeah.
isn't there something that's being sold for a
It's
very
like
high
called
price right now?
hydroxychloroquine or something. I would look it up, but the
Oh,
typing
yes,
sounds would
yes,
be
yes,
really
yes, yes, yes,
loud. Something like that.
yes. No, thank you. No, yeah, okay, yes, that's what it is. Yeah, I mean, so like that. So yeah, I agree with your point of view. I think it is kind of a weak argument to say that they would be holding back a new cure because it would be more profitable to keep the old one going. Where they can just sell the new one for a markup price.
Mm,
I mean, yes, however,
mm.
I feel like you can sell something for a markup, but if it is high enough, the government's gonna come in and make you regulate that product.
You know, you
So,
would think. You would think. But, as we will find out, the government has actually really failed at doing that already. Um,
okay, well, then, never mind. Then you are right. Nothing's being held back. As soon as Big Pharma has something, they're foaming at the teeth to release anything. They can basically ask you for a leg to
that is
pay.
kind of the problem we've run into. So, okay, I'm going to finish up with the conspiracy theory definition and then go into the
Okay.
Sunny theory, which is just the truth, of course. So,
As per usual, and then you'll have the Andre theories, which are just crazy talk.
your
So,
theories come from the
fantastic.
fantasy plane. um, So there's this term big pharma, and this guy wrote a book on it called, his last name is Blaskiewicz, and according to him, big pharma conspiracy theory has 4 main traits. Number 1, the assumption that the conspiracy is perpetrated by a small, malevolent upper group. Secondly, the belief that the public at large is ignorant of the truth. Thirdly, that its believers treat lack of evidence as evidence. And fourthly, finally, that the arguments deployed in support of the theory are irrational, misconceived, or otherwise mistaken. So obviously this guy wrote a book about big pharma, and then he probably devoted some section to the conspiracy theory where he was like, big pharma bad, conspiracy theorists also bad, here why. And I think that it's because of the traits that he listed that it's viewed that way. So it's really interesting, actually, because I think that this conspiracy theory definition applies for most conspiracy theories. So the assumption that the conspiracy is perpetrated by like a small group at the top, and also the belief that the public at large is ignorant of the truth. I think that's really key, because that means that you're not necessarily looking at the biggest sources. Like if the New York Times publishes an article, I don't think it appeals to that kind of conspiracy level as much, because it's believed that for something to be a conspiracy, it has to be kind of fringe. So like when the whole public is aware of something, it becomes less conspiracy and more so central, which is why I say that Sunny theory is
I mean, it is, 1, the truth, also 2, definitely not what this episode is about.
Well, here's my point too.
Continue.
My point is just that it's very interesting, because this is one of those topics, and this is what I referred to earlier, Andre. It's one of the only topics where you mention the name. It's not like you say the name of a conspiracy theory, flat Earth, and you're immediately like, okay, you know, that's that fringe group. You say,
or Avril Lavigne died in 2003 and was replaced by her clone, Melissa Vandelli. Melissa Vandelli. Yes,
that's a gray area there. But
there's not a lot. Yeah,
but you say big pharma, and the term will come up in like mainstream news articles, and it will come up in conspiracy theories. Like the idea of pharmaceutical companies being evil is not necessarily one that solely belongs to fringe groups, which is why I think it's very interesting. I mean, the idea of corporations being evil. I mean, call me a leftist or whatever, but you know.
I mean, that's just kind of capitalism, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh no, we've gotten political.
It's okay. You need to go to the back catalog of this show.
So I basically got into a few different topics under Big Pharma and have some different stories and things going on. Watched a lot of Vice videos on this, as one does. But firstly, so you have this idea of drug monopolies. So from 2012 to 2016, the drug price the drug price on the 12 highest selling prescription drugs raised by 68%. That's just in 4 years. And the way that happens legally is that a company will look at a drug, and then the suppliers surrounding it and things surrounding it, and look out for as many patents as possible. Because this all happens in the realm of, I'm like wiggling my fingers, but you can't see, science. So because of that, you can patent these concepts, which means that one company could have the patent on a medicine that everyone that has a certain disease needs. And what happens is that company isn't like, oh, check it out, these people need this, so let's like pay our researchers and our CEO a very reasonable amount of money and then make some kind of reasonable profit margin, because that's not how corporate greed works. The idea is to hike up the prices as much as humanly possible, and possibly even drive people to the brink of death in that process, to wring out as much money as the market can give. Which is why some have questioned whether perhaps the pharmaceutical market has become too commercialized.
That's a crazy idea, Sunny. Shut up, you fucking commie.
Dude, I'm on the fringes here. I'm on the far fringes. So, that's the thing. I feel like sometimes sometimes I'm just researching stuff, and it's like, who needs conspiracy theories when this is like a real CIA report that was released that showed that it tried to like discredit civil rights activists for decades or something. You know, that's a completely unrelated topic, but just like some of the stuff that's out there
Mm-hmm.
that like the masses will approve of is also kind of crazy. Not
Yeah.
just kind of, very, very wild that we live in a world where stuff like this happens. Um, so then there's the question of waste in order to increase profits. So one example is that eye drops alone was a $3.4 billion market in 2016. Just those little eye drops, that
Wow.
you check them out, you put them in your eye. I used some this last year because the computer was drying out my eyes. They're probably making a killing right now. Um, and something you'll notice is that each eye drop in a bottle is like twice the size of what your eye can handle. Like even if you aim it directly in, a bunch is going to leak out immediately. And you don't think about that because you're like, that's just how eye drops work. But it doesn't actually have to be that way. A study was done 20 years ago that showed that you could have the amount that comes out of an eye drop bottle and still have it be effective. And you would think that the drug companies would immediately be like, okay, sick, let's do that. Well, you wouldn't think that if you were critically thinking because they can make more money by having more, and so you have to buy more. Um,
So that's kind of like the argument that you have these gas companies that will sell you gas that is infused with like cheaper components. Think like
mm,
water, but not actually. But the point is like
but
filler
not
gas,
actually.
things that
Things
things
that
that
actually
actually
could be
they.
filler in gas.
My point,
Yes.
things that don't actually act as
Think
fuel in your motor,
2%
right?
versus
So
whole milk. I said what I said.
right, like so that you will have to buy more gas because this fuel will run out faster because it isn't pure fuel, air quotes or whatever you want to call it. But the thing with that is like wouldn't consumers notice this and kind of go to a brand that doesn't do that? But I guess
Mm.
if all brands do that, then there's no way for them to know any better. I don't know.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
just
that's a good
talking.
point. I mean, that's why the question of monopoly is so important. Because I bet if there was some group that like had the right stopper on the tops that you are giving out smaller drops, maybe that
Mm-hmm.
brand would sell better. Maybe they have an agreement
Mm-hmm.
not to. That's a really good question, actually. Look at you, critically
Mm.
thinking. But yes, that's why.
Thanks. I do it every once in a while.
I feel like you're doing it all the time. But yes, another example, speaking of cancer, is that there are single use cancer vials. But the thing is that the amount that you use depends on the weight of your patient. So you could have a $5,000 single use vial that people have to use once a week, once a month, and the person, if they weigh less, could only use half the bottle and then essentially have wasted $2,500. And
Wow.
yeah, and so the interesting thing is that from the articles that I saw, they would send emails to these big pharmaceutical companies selling these drugs, the eye drop company and the cancer treatment company, and ask like straight up, "Why are you doing this?" And the eye drop company had something about, we want to make sure that we have a surplus for anyone who needs it, and accommodate people, or
Big eye.
big
They
pharma.
really said big eye.
I'm actually
What if you have big eye?
I'm
You need big drop.
screaming. Stop. I can't. That was too funny. But yes, they said in all caps in response 2 words: big eye.
Good one. Also, speaking of cancer,
Mm.
Folklore by Taylor Swift. Can we talk? No, I'm kidding. Anyway, continue.
And then the Cancer Vial Company, I don't know if there was a specific email, but they had released a statement saying that, these are the standard size, that we can ship them internationally, which is some bullshit. And there were even companies that originally had more individualized size that switched to the like standard single use size. And I feel like that signifies like you that it could at least work the other way.
Uh huh.
And maybe their profits did drop some amount. I don't think that justifies going to the standard.
Of course it does.
And so, yeah, the question, like you mentioned earlier, is what's the government up to at this time? but the FDA studies like effectiveness and safety of drugs, so it doesn't really regulate waste. I shouldn't say can't. I definitely think there's some world where these are better regulated, and that's what we're working towards. But yeah, it's just totally crazy. And so one of the biggest examples of this within the last few years is Martin Shkreli. Have you heard of the man?
Of course. Of course.
Who hasn't? So I had heard of him and looked it up at one point, but I hadn't paid the most attention to it, if that makes sense.
Please tell the audience who Martin is, or dearest
Oh,
Martin.
of course, of course. Let's go ahead and read a little bit about him and what he stands for.
Okay.
Martin Shkreli, born March 17th, 1983. How old does that make him? It makes him 37 now.
Well, Taylor Swift was born in 1989. I just know that's what I use as a marker for everything, and she's what, 30? So that makes him 36.
Oh my god.
I'm just saying I'm angry. I'm just saying I'm angry because we had 1989, we had Reputation, which, like, okay, we let that go. We had Lover, which, okay, girl, you have your thing, it's fine. But Folklore, girl, Folklore, come on. Indie rock, girl. Anyway, continue. I'm just mad.
She's having a third life crisis. Okay, Andre?
Yes.
Even pop stars are allowed that. Marina and the Diamonds definitely had hers with her most recent album, and I still stand.
True, and I guess Gaga had Joanne, but it's just like, I heard, like, I'm dropping an album tonight, like, and I'm like, oh my god, Taylor Swift new album, and I'm not even a Swiftie, right? But I was still like, oh, new music, and then, like, in the middle of a pandemic, I took him out with, like, this, like, super sad album. Listen, it probably, like, tickles a lot of people's pickles, because it's what they want to hear, and I guess like, sometimes when you're sad, you want to listen to sad music, and I'm sure a lot of people are sad because Corona and other things in 2020, but I just feel like when I'm sad, I don't want to feel even sadder. So for me to, like, listen to this album, I was like, oh no. So that's that.
No, I definitely relate. I feel like it depends on my mood. If I'm in a get over it bitch type mood, I'll listen to happy music no matter what. But if I'm in a, like, don't tell me to get over it bitch type mood, I will listen to sad music no matter what, you know what I mean?
So basically you're saying if you're in an Avril Lavigne 2007 mood versus if you're in an Avril Lavigne 2003 mood. Gotcha.
Yes, 100%. I'm so glad we discussed that. How do we even get there from Big Pharma?
Anyway, Martin Shkreli.
Yes. So Martin Shkreli, of his age, is a convicted felon and former hedge fund manager. Of course he is. He was the co-founder of hedge funds, names, basically founded a bunch of shit and was the CEO of it. And here's what matters. Founder and former CEO of Turing Pharmaceuticals, which is where his sketchy shit went down. Now, okay, the part that describes his conviction on Wikipedia is really, really funny. There are just a couple of Easter eggs. We're not even there yet. We're gonna get to his early life first. I'm just looking forward to it. So if you hear me giggle, you know why. But
Okay.
His early life, he was born in Brooklyn. His parents, this part really breaks my heart. His parents immigrated to the United States and worked as janitors. Through his father, he's related to Shkreli, an Albanian tribe. He, his two sisters, and his brother grew up in a working-class community in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. By most accounts, Shkreli was raised Catholic and attended Sunday school as a child. So, this makes me sad. Like, where's the proletariat solidarity? Like, he really grew up going through it, and then he said, let me work at hedge funds and screw over the poor now. And that just makes me sad. I expect it from the people who grew up whose parents did that or whatever, but
Yeah.
Shkreli, what if Shkreli was one of us?
Also, you mentioned this company that he founded was Turing Pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's kind of shitty to use Alan Turing's name in anything that doesn't, like, honor him as a person. The famous mathematician Alan Turing,
Yeah,
who was convicted for homosexual acts back in the 50s, and they chemically castrated him. It's all in that movie with Benedict Cucumber. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, I remember that. It was what was it called? It's okay, it's gone. I do
The
remember
Greatest
that.
Game or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, so just saying, yeah, Turing Pharmaceuticals, don't like it. It looks like they changed the company's name,
Yes, yes.
obviously. So
Phoenixes now. Avoid them. They changed the name, changed leadership and everything because he didn't want the company. He made that direction because he wanted the company to continue on without him. But we still do not stand Phoenixes.
hmm
Also, what?
hmm
Man, they really said we're gonna rise from the ashes of this crime, bruh. So on December 17th, 2015, Shkreli was arrested by the FBI after a federal indictment in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York, his home state. And he was charged with securities fraud. So, securities fraud, which I had to look up, is basically misleading investors and stuff. So, he was leading this pharmaceutical company and he misled investors. And I think it's related to he bought out the patent for the controversial medication, which I'm sure we'll get into, for $55 million. So, yeah, getting a little bit into what that is, it's called Daraprim. In parentheses, pyrimethamine.
Girl, we don't need that. Just go.
So he bought it for $55 million. It originally cost $13.50. And he hiked the price up to $750, which is over 55 times its original price. And the worst part is that the drug's most prominent use is anti-malarial and anti-parasitic, especially to treat AIDS, or especially to treat patients that have AIDS-related or AIDS unrelated, basically like this parasitic condition. So
Okay.
when we're talking about the most vulnerable, we're talking about the most vulnerable, you know? We're talking about people like everywhere who are struggling with AIDS and like, or other unrelated, just getting parasitic things. And I think this is probably the best part is that the price was initially criticized jointly by the Infectious Diseases Society of America, HIV Medicines Association, Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, and soon thereafter by presidential candidates Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, and Donald Trump. Big Pharma, baby. The only thing that can unite our country right now. Everyone
I
hates
guess
Big
so.
Pharma.
Wow.
Yeah, or specifically Martin Shkreli. I shouldn't generalize like that. But yes, all of them criticized him. So, now we're at his testimony and whatnot, and this is where it gets funny. So, federal prosecutors said that Shkreli and co-defendant Evan Griebel engaged in multiple schemes to ensnare investors through a web of lies and deceit. Incredible. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Shkreli said that he was targeted by law enforcement for his price hikes of the drug Daraprim and his flamboyant personality. So it's true though that his company was only looked into after he got so much bad press because of the drug hike, and then because his company was looked into, they found this sketchy shit apparently. So in early 2016, Shkreli retained criminal defense attorney Benjamin Brafman to defend him. Due to Shkreli's notoriety and overwhelmingly negative public opinion, it was difficult to select an unbiased jury, wait for it, with potential jurors stating, "I'm aware of the defendant and I hate him. He kind of looks like a dick, and he disrespected the Wu-Tang Clan."
I mean, all of those things are true, but also maybe these people were just trying to get out of jury duty.
True. But, dude, he kind of looks like a... He just... Dude, I just...
He did. I mean, listen, the Wu-Tang Clan did allow him to disrespect them, though, because you know the story. The Wu-Tang Clan, they put out this album. There's only one copy of it, and it basically was put up for sale for one person and one person only to purchase it. And that person, because they had enough money, ended up being Martin Shkreli. So it's kind of the clan's fault too. Just saying.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It is pretty funny though. So basically he argues against it and he ends up getting 7 years in prison. And I have an article pulled up that has some really incredible quotes from both him and the judge in this trial. So when he's arguing for himself, he goes, I'm going to try and imitate the way he says it. "The one person to blame for me being here today is me. Not the government. There is no..."
Wait, how do you know he sounds like this? Did you watch a video?
The
of him?
description in the article says he's choked up, so I'm just going for it. "Not the government. There is no conspiracy to take down Martin Shkreli. I took down Martin Shkreli with my disgraceful and shameful actions. This is my fault. I'm no victim here. Do not feel bad for me. And he had a message for the investors he duped. I am terribly sorry I lost your trust. You deserve far better. I was never motivated by money. I wanted to grow my stature and my reputation. I'm here because of my gross, stupid, and negligent mistakes I made.
Okay, but why is this every YouTube apology ever? Like,
um, but just wait for it. It gets so much better because the judge responds. So the judge is like, hey, like, I do feel kind of bad. But so the judge first notes Shkreli's upbringing in a household that included an abusive father, his problems with panic attacks, his charitable contributions, and his talent for picking stocks and for scientific research. But the judge, who was named Matsumoto, also detailed Shkreli's years-long series of sophisticated financial deceptions, his foul-mouthed boasts of having threatened to render a former employee and his family homeless, and his emailed statements from prison saying he would do anything necessary to win a light prison term. So this judge really looked at Shkreli's crying ass and said, okay, but did you not email from prison saying you would do anything to get a lighter term? Did you not literally, like, brag about saying that you would make one of your employees homeless? Yeah, did you not increase the price of this drug by 55 times when you did not have to? And it was so planned because, again, he bought it for 55 million. Oh, which was stated, he couldn't have bought it for 55 million unless he were planning to significantly hike the price. So this was, like, very much premeditated, you know?
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the Shkreli case, and he's so easy to hate, but I think that the interesting thing with cases like this is that here we're going to get into some actual Sunny conspiracy theory. This is like me, you know, at my most fringe, I guess. But I would be willing to bet that there are tons...
She's gonna say, you know what? I think there are tigers in Ireland, for sure. Wow, fringe girl.
Okay, we already established that. But I do think that there are tons of pharmaceutical companies probably doing the exact same thing who just didn't receive the same amount of negative press, weren't looked into, and therefore, like, aren't being prosecuted for this stuff, right? Which is why I think that the Koch brothers scandal was pretty interesting. I, like, don't have that pulled up right now, but I know that there was a whole deal with them being from, like, a super wealthy, powerful family, which I always think is more interesting in terms of when these crimes go down, and then, like, having to pay off people to get out of it, but I don't know if they were ever given prison time. You know, to our listeners, look that shit up.
Okay, now, I don't know if you heard about this, but there's an NBC article that I found that says that Martin Shkreli was moved from his prison to a different prison after there was a claim made that he was running a drug company with a banned cell phone within prison. Which is just icing on the cake.
I love that so much. I really deeply hope that that's true. No, and I guess, yeah, so what I'm getting at here is that we're really catching small fish. The people who are probably doing the worst things out here are not people who came from poor families who got too greedy. It's people who come from, like, intergenerational millions upon millions of dollars of wealth who can kind of cover up this stuff. Although he tried. He hired some big firm lawyers who were doing some things for him. But, oh yeah, so I think that this is similar. Let's see. Okay, I just think that this is similar to the college scandal. You know how those celebrities were arrested for paying $500,000 to...
Before you touch on that, though, I want to say that this whole big pharma thing did remind me of something that is not necessarily related, but kind of, because it deals with chemicals. I don't know if you saw the movie Dark Waters, but it's through that movie with Mark Ruffalo. It's from last year that I learned that basically, you know the company DuPont, they make chemicals basically at a large scale for other products and companies. Okay, so basically the movie is based on this New York Times Magazine article called The Lawyer Who Became DuPont's Worst Nightmare. And the movie, and also the real case that the movie is based on, basically deals with this journalist who covered this controversy that was unfolding around this company. This must have been back in what was this, like the early 80s, 90s?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly cannot recall. The point is that DuPont was this huge company. They were like in the northeast, and they made chemicals, great, but they were polluting the surrounding areas, and they
Mm.
wouldn't admit to
Oh,
that,
of
and that was
course.
causing harm to children
Yeah.
and animals
Yeah.
and shit, and like the bodies of water around the factories.
Mm-hmm.
And this journalist uncovered all of that, and he's still like in fights with the company because the company, even though it's been uncovered that they've engaged in all this nefarious behavior, like the companies that engage in nefarious behavior will litigate with you until the end of
Oh,
time,
totally.
just to basically stall forever, and
Yeah.
that way they don't actually have to admit their
Yeah,
wrongdoing.
it's
um
crazy.
it's
It's enough
insane.
to like
Like
to
they
be a
have,
conspiracy theory. At the like crazy
yeah, like
litigation that big corporations will
they
do.
have enough money to basically be like, I can just not admit wrongdoing forever because I have money and I can just keep, you know
Yes,
what I
no,
mean? Like,
exactly. So, okay, this reminds me of two things now. That exact thing, which is that like a lawyer came in to speak to one of my classes who had worked to defend miners who'd gotten black lung, and it was just so interesting because he was talking about how like these miners were in Virginia, they were super conservative and felt like the coastal elites just like didn't care about or understand them or thought they were dumb. Um, and it's sort of like getting into the mentality of like how Trump was elected, you know. But the really cool thing is that he was defending these guys because they would work for these corporations who wouldn't take proper precautions in the mines, and as a result, they would get black lung. And so the companies would hire these people from um, big law firms who would run tests like hundreds of times, right? Like whatever it took to get that one thing that you can try and use, or like even hide
mhm.
evidence sometimes or do crazy stuff. And it's just this one guy working for not big pay, like what these miners could pay him, trying to defend that. And I feel like that was a big moment for me too, of realizing like, damn, who needs conspiracy theories when this shit is happening? Like,
That's what I'm saying, and it really sucks, doesn't it? Because like you have these companies doing this, and I feel like it would be so much easier to just be a nice, reputable company that isn't engaging in this kind of behavior, being so
mm,
negligent and nefarious and horrible,
mm-hmm.
and just kind of live your company life that way. But instead, they will do all this nefarious shit for the sake of profit, and then they will have to spend so much money, maybe not so much, but a good amount of money covering their asses, also a good amount of energy covering their asses. And it's like, wouldn't you rather just not be evil? And it's like, and like, I'm no Republican, but in a sense, corporations are people in the sense that they are
Mm-hmm.
composed of
Mm-hmm.
people. And the reason I bring this up for this example is because it makes me think like, okay, so they are made of people. Like, so these people are just people. Do these people like being evil? Do they like what that feels
Yeah.
like? I mean, I know a guilty conscience feels like
Yeah.
shit.
You
So
know,
are they
I
cool?
really feel like it's just that corporations are so big. Like, so few things get to the top. You know, who knows if someone at the top of the company at that point even knows exactly what the cases look like with the black lung stuff. They just know, like, there's this liability thing. I'm going to assign this to someone. Like, they probably know that it's shitty, you know? But at that point, they've never
Yeah.
seen the miner face to face. They don't have to feel bad about it
I
because they
mean,
don't know the guy, you know?
maybe not face to face, but that they have the knowledge that something like that is happening. They definitely do have the knowledge. At
Totally,
least in the Dark
totally.
Water example, that movie noted that the CEO of the company at the time was very much aware that there were these chemicals being made,
Mm,
and he definitely knew because when then tests started being independently run by these organizations that wanted to prove that DuPont was negligent, the CEO was like attacking these people that were running these independent organizations. So
mm,
he knew. He was trying to cover his ass.
totally, totally.
I,
Yeah.
I think what it is you can fool yourself into thinking all kinds of shit so you can sleep at night. I think that's
Oh
what it
yeah,
is.
I think it's why we're not vegetarians. Again, we don't have to.
Oh my
I mean, we
god.
don't have to be there for it. You know, we're not close to it. They don't like see
Yeah.
the people that they're
Yep.
hurting, so it feels much more distant. And they've got plenty of money. They go home to their family. You know.
Oh my god.
Um,
Sonny, we are all the DuPont CEOs.
um,
Damn, dude.
okay.
We really do live in a society.
Really do. My last point, because I've talked so much, but is just that with the college scandal, right? So you have these people paying $500,000 to help cheat on their kids' SATs and lie about their specs on their resume. But meanwhile, there was a scandal a few years ago with my university where someone had made an email that said, you know, I'm about to make a donation of however many millions of dollars. My daughter just sent in her application, you know, someone responds saying, oh, cool. And then lo and behold, a couple years later, the daughter is attending my university. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, whatever. And I think that she graduated like a year or two before me. Basically, these things happen all the time. Usually someone just makes a big enough donation to the university that the university will accept them directly. But then you have these medium fries, not small fries, not big fries, who don't have that millions of dollars, but they've got 500,000. So they use that to try, and then they're the ones who get prosecuted and, hopefully put in prison and whatnot. But it's just so funny and so kind of sad and ironic, and that's my biggest conspiracy
It's
theory.
it's because like the universities don't want to lose out on this big money.
Yeah.
Like now they're gonna lose out on more celebrities paying $500,000 to get their kids into these schools. Whatever, they can live with that. But does Brown want to lose their $50 million a year endowment from whoever rich person? No.
No.
Especially if it's very much under the table. If there is no if
Yeah.
there is no possibility that they're gonna get uncovered.
There
If it's very
isn't.
much kind of buddy
Yeah,
buddy.
there's no way to
Like
prove wrongdoing there. We so
yeah,
normalize like
there's a lot less
nepotism
risk.
and other things like that. There's no law around that. Yeah.
Exactly. There's a lot less because there's no letter like let my daughter in. Here's money or
Yeah, well, there is.
or
The email
actually.
screenshots were released, but I still don't think it became anything criminal. Be-
Oh.
yeah, because there's no way to like connect that directly to her admittance. At least I think so, because I remember there being an article that had published it.
Actually, what these celebrities had wasn't it more like did they contact the university or was it
No,
more
it was
that
more like through the coaches and stuff, where the coaches would lie about their
oh okay
would say like
okay
they were in lacrosse when they weren't, and like SAT cheating.
okay so I mean that's why
Mhm.
that's way more culpable.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I like your conspiracy. I agree with it. I know what you're saying.
Thank you. Basically,
Yeah.
my conspiracy comes down to, I don't know, free the proletariat, class consciousness, unionize,
Money talks, go vegan. Anyway, so
And here we are back to vegan talk.
now, Sunny, let me tell you.
Okay.
Today, I'm going over COVID-19 conspiracy theories. Okay, let's just get into this now.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
So, people are saying that the COVID-19 vaccine, once it comes out, will have tracking chips.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
Because it will, obviously. We're sheeple.
I mean, now, okay, here's the thing. Okay, there is this initiative in the scientific community around vaccines, especially in the third world, to have some kind of way where you can track what immunizations a person has had, especially because in the third world there isn't great record keeping. So if a person gets, the flu vaccine 1 year, whatever, scientists are looking for some kind of way where that could be recorded on their skin, on their body, that they had that immunization. So when you're going to the doctor, even if you don't have your paperwork, they can tell, oh, you got the flu vaccine last year. So that's a thing that's happening. Now, people have taken that to say that that way of record keeping within vaccines is going to be chips, and that they're going to be tracking chips, like GPS technology.
Of course, and they're gonna have
And
666 on the front of them.
yeah, and exactly, and that they're gonna be ready as soon as the COVID-19 vaccine is ready, which I'm guessing is gonna be sometime in the next year. Which for these, tracking technology to also be ready at the same time is just incredible, amazing, what a coincidence. And that they're gonna be implanted in these COVID-19 vaccines, so anyone that gets a COVID-19 immunization will be tracked from now on with these chips. I I don't really have something to say about it. I just wanted to tell you about it because that's a thing that's happening, and I guess that's really everything. It's going to be the same thing with everything else that I'm going to talk about. It's just like I think it's going to be very clear that I don't believe in any of this. It's just that it's so wild that I kind of just need to say it out loud and let that be in the air.
Totally.
So
Well, it's also interesting because there is so much suspicion around big data and privacy and security right now, and that's totally valid. With like Facebook using our information and stuff, it's just interesting because so many conspiracy theories I feel like a butt or like are adjacent to like real worries. It just feels like the difference in sources, just like read the New York
Right.
Times or something or whatever. I don't even know how much I trust the New York. Whatever, just find some kind of more dependable source is really what it seems like is the question here.
Yeah. I mean, actually, to clarify, because I did have it here on my notes, I forgot to mention it. So the way this technology, if they were able to develop it in the near future would work is actually would actually be through quantum dots, which I'm not gonna pretend that I know how that works. But the point is that you have bioengineers saying these things wouldn't involve tracking chips. There are no microchips at all. They like all these quantum dots would do is basically produce light, and that's how the medical professionals would be able to know what immunizations you've had.
Mm.
So that's that. So there's no.
So I
Listen, girl,
understood
the
none of
CIA does
that.
not care that you're going to Winco every Wednesday night. Like, they don't need to track you. By the way, we have trackers. We have our phones with us 24/7. If you
Right?
leave your phone at home, you have missing limb syndrome. And that's how you, like, so you never leave your phone at home. And because you never leave your phone at home, that's how you know you're being tracked all the time. Like, these things are obviously used for purposes other than what, are known surface level.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
mean, tell me I'm crazy.
Yeah,
So,
no, I mean, I think that there's a reason that why like Alexa or Google was offering free Google Homes for such a long time. Just super weird. Um,
yeah, I mean, even if that isn't their main reason for doing so, it has to be some kind of secondary or tertiary reason because these companies thrive off of your data.
yeah,
That's like, especially when they offer free products, and nothing is free in this world. The way you're paying them is with your data. Your data
yep,
is
yep.
valuable. Your privacy is
When
valuable.
you're like
And that's
when
their
you're talking
currency.
in your house and you're like, "Dang, Sheila, that bitch," Google's listening, and Google will get
Yeah,
back
I
to
mean,
Sheila. So,
Sheila will know about this. No, not even that. I mean, it's more. It's the thing is that it's not even secret necessarily. Like, uh, it's more the kind of fine print that people don't really read about,
mm-hmm.
but it's not necessarily secret. Like, you have, um, if you use Google to Google something, targeted advertising notes that you will have like ads about that thing now posited to you,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
like, directed towards you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I mean, that's one kind of smaller way in which you're being quote unquote spied on. I mean, it's not that nefarious, I guess, especially because, like I said, this kind of stuff is in fine print when you sign up for a number of services. However, it still feels creepy. It just feels creepy that I'll Google, like, and here's the thing that sometimes it goes beyond that, right? There's people theorizing that it's not just stuff that you Google in that you search on your browser. It's also your microphone on your devices
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
listens into you and then targets
I don't
advertising
know,
towards
man.
you,
There's
right?
a
So,
lot of
like,
memes about that. But it's true. Sometimes
I
there's been
know. I
stuff
mean,
that's come up where I'm like, did I search that? I feel like I only talked about it.
I know. Me too. I mean, listen, companies completely acknowledge targeted advertising. That's just kind of how companies work, and they're like, yeah, I mean, that's what we do.
Hmm.
But they all deny that they listen in on you through microphone access. However, I swear to you, like, I've talked about the randomest things,
Let's
like
test it right now.
a
Let's like, yeah,
limo,
let's say a few keywords right now and
squirrel.
see if it comes up later. I've really been looking to
I
buy
love
a. I was gonna say yeah, but that's not believable.
Star Trek Beyond is the best movie of all time. Sunny, have you seen Star Trek
Star
Beyond,
Trek
the
Beyond,
third Star
the
Trek
third Star
movie?
Trek movie that I would be interested
In
in
the in
seeing very soon.
Yeah,
Whoa, let
totally.
me just
In the
like
new
open
Star
up
Trek
my
franchise.
phone screen for a moment. That's all. Oh yeah, and my
You know me. Chris Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto in Star Trek Beyond.
okay,
I
but Chris
love
Pine
Star
is
Trek.
fine. More like Chris Pine, actually.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. But anyway,
And
so
you know, our mic is totally activated right now because we're in a call. Not that that's
oh, for
relevant to
sure.
me wanting
Yeah.
to see Star Trek Beyond so badly. Just wanting to buy it and use my money to in this market to attract and rent or buy, depending on the price, Amazon, Hulu, HBO, whatever streaming service it's available on. Star Trek, Star Trek. Cannot wait to be an active consumer of this product.
Fascinating. Well, I mean, okay, all jokes aside, it did already come out in 2017. It is kind of a bop, and I have it on Blu-ray next to me, and that's why I mentioned it. Anyway, so
Oh shoot. Okay.
um, that was the test. We'll see what happens. We'll let you guys know. But so
Dude,
that's
I swear if I get
microchipping
asked for
and
that.
COVID vaccine.
Oh yes, COVID
But
vaccine.
then, okay, so what adds fuel to that fire,
Mm.
right, is the fact that you have funding for this project, the quantum dot like tracking project, being provided by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Which, if you say those words in relation to vaccines or honestly anything even remotely controversial, people are immediately like, okay, Bill Gates conspiracy theory, right? Um, So people are saying, oh, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is behind the funding for this project. They're obviously malicious people. They're bad actors. They're trying to rule the world, and they're gonna do that by tracking me when I go to income.
Dude, if we had to like
So
pick a billionaire to be our star sign, Bill Gates would definitely be mine. I don't know, I kind of like him for some reason.
I mean, of all the billionaires, he certainly seems to least
Yeah, did you
bad.
see him on Ellen when he had
Um,
to guess the prices of regular everyday grocery items? He was
yes,
like, pizza rolls, huh? $20? I feel like he might have actually said like 30 or just something outrageous.
I know, but that's the thing that like to him that's nothing, and because pizza rolls are cheap, he means like, oh, he's like, well, what is really cheap to me? $30.
Yeah, for a bag of
I
pizza
know, it's
rolls.
crazy. Anyway, so I mean, and this only fuels the anti-vaxxer movement, which I don't need to go into why that's bad. Anyway, so
Yes,
that's
everyone, conspiracy
microchipping.
theories or not, we do not stand anti-vax. Sorry. Not
Yes,
sorry.
exactly. So that is microchipping and COVID-19 vaccines. Now, you also have the 5G conspiracy, which I am sure you've heard
Oh,
of.
yes.
Basically, people are saying, okay, so for those of you who are not aware, 5G is going to be the next generation in mobile telecommunications, basically. You have 4G now. 5G means faster downloading and uploading speeds, basically, whatever.
I'm looking
So
forward to
people are.
it. Or should I say
Me
I'm
too.
looking
So
five-word to it?
amazing.
Sorry.
So because there are new cell towers being put up, not only cell towers, but a lot of just like groundwork. Like you have like fiber cables. There's basically a lot of groundwork being constructed for the 5G technology to work because you can't just upgrade to a better technology without having actual like physical elements that are also upgraded.
Hmm.
So because there's new cell towers, basically, people are saying, "Oh, what a coincidence! New 5G cell towers going up, and then COVID happens," and basically that's the theory. People
Hmm.
are bonkers, and they're like, one thing, the other thing happens at the same time, causation. So that's that.
So, once again, our education system has really failed the public.
Absolutely. Apparently, this is really interesting, dude. This is super duper interesting. So there's this guy, right? His name is Joseph Downing, and he's a fellow at the London School of Economics, which, by the way, I applied to in 2015. Never got back to me. Fuck you guys. But he studied the origins of the 5G conspiracy theory on social media
Oh, I
and
love
said that he and
that.
his colleagues were able to track down the exact account that turned this conspiracy theory into a trending topic on Twitter. He says that
Really?
the account at 5G coronavirus 19 sent out 303 tweets in 7 days, likely a bot, obviously, and that is what created the momentum for the trend to
Totally.
start,
So, it's
basically.
likely like a Russian bot, probably. Right?
I mean, not necessarily Russian. I feel like Russian bot is such a meme at this point that like anything bad comes
Okay,
from Russian
that's what
bots,
I
but a
thought
bot for
too.
sure.
But there was a whole FBI report on like Russian information or misinformation accounts on Instagram and Twitter that like would reach thousands and like hundreds of thousands of followers. Mainly conservatives. Sorry, conservatives, you're not all. Eh.
What I'm saying is, it is not unlikely that it is Russian. However, it could also very well be Chinese, right?
Oh
Like you
yeah,
have
yeah.
more than one actor that is trying to interfere in basically not even just American elections, but any kind of American matter that is of importance, that shapes people's beliefs, that I guess in the end leads to some kind of election outcome. So I guess in a sense, it is all about elections. It is all about manipulating people into thinking a certain way, so they will vote a certain
Yeah,
way.
or even just causing
Um,
as much tension and what is it like? Just
right,
tension. Yeah,
turmoil. But
turmoil
even
between
even then,
parties.
that is about elections too. That is about causing
Exactly.
turmoil in this
Exactly. Yeah.
foreign territory if you're a bad foreign actor,
Yeah.
so that elections will have a certain outcome that you probably
Yeah.
desire,
Which
right? Because you have your special
here's
interests.
another thing that sounds like it could be a conspiracy theory, but there's a whole like real released report on it, which is just wild. Just wild.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, also, fun fact: there are numerous reports that account for the fact that American intelligence has tried to interfere in foreign elections literally forever. So
Mm,
we're not the ones just being attacked and then we don't attack. Like
that's a
we
good
also
point.
attack
Yeah.
other countries in
Yeah.
this same
Totally.
exact
Totally.
way. So, but anyway, Russian bots. So, one thing that this guy, right, Joseph, found that was really interesting was that really important was that people were tagging President Trump in their tweets, and that was basically enough to gain traction. And that's really what really kind of solidified that
Wow.
trend. And from there, that trend is trending. That means more people are going to see it. And if you have anyone that is even slightly suggestible, all of a sudden you have a new believer, right,
Mm-hmm.
in your 5G conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
That's so interesting.
Apparently, enough traction was gained from this conspiracy theory that more than 70 cell phone towers were set on fire in the United Kingdom in April and May because of their alleged link to the spread of the virus. This is talking about UK suffering damages because this article is from the BBC, but there were
Wow.
also, if people don't recall, cell towers set on fire in the US. That was like a thing on Twitter. That was like a meme, and it's terrible, but
Oh
it's
my
true.
gosh, that's so
Um,
funny.
I know.
That's really,
So
really funny. Wow.
that's 5G conspiracy theory. Trump obviously helped because once he was tagged in this, the dumbass, of course, was like, "Let." I mean, here's the thing about Trump, right? Like, he will tweet just like this dumbassery,
Yeah.
right, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you notice, if you look closely, he'll never say that he believes in the thing. He'll just say that he
Mm.
heard about this
Mm-hmm.
or that something is being said, right? It's in the passive voice always
Mm.
because he doesn't want to put that on himself,
Because
but at the
he's a
same time, he
little
wants to influence.
coward.
Right.
How does that
I mean, he
feel?
wants to influence as
Mm.
many people as
Mm-hmm.
possible. And he succeeds in that, but of course, then you get back at him and say you said this, and then reporters will do that, and then he'll say, well, I didn't say that. I was just saying I heard
Yeah.
about it. But he knows what he's
He's
doing. So
incredible.
anyway, he did the same thing with the 5G thing. He
Mm.
was like, oh, 5G, but he didn't say like I believe it. He just said like to put it out there. And how many people follow him? Like a shit ton.
Mm.
So
That reminds me of like
anyway,
a study that was done about anyone who's likely to believe in one conspiracy theory or more than one conspiracy theory will believe them even if they're contradictory. So when presented with two contradictory conspiracy theories, one saying that like Princess Diana was murdered, for example, and the other one saying that Princess Diana wasn't murdered because this other thing happened that's also conspiracy fringist.
uh-huh.
They'll believe both when both are clearly
Yeah.
not possible. So it's just
Well, I mean, I kind of believe that Big Pharma is trying to hold back new, like new information and new cures to things. While I also believe what you said about no, if anything, they would want to bring new stuff to the forefront so they could up charges for it. So
mm,
all I can say is big eye.
I think it
Um,
depends on A, what would give them more profits, but also B, the fact that it has to still be something that could happen. Like, there's researchers who would have developed that cure. And I like to think that while researchers might develop something and then not have any control over its price being hiked, researchers would reach out and talk if it were like, we found the cure to
I
cancer
mean, not
and our company tried
necessarily.
to shut
Like
us
you can
down.
you can silence people, right? I mean, okay. Here's the thing.
Mm.
I go back to one of the OG conspiracy theories about anything really, which is not the Egyptians building the pyramids. I mean, not aliens helping the Egyptians. That when I think about early conspiracy, that's like what comes to mind. What comes to mind to me about this is the theory that Nikola Tesla created. Oh my god, what the fuck was it? Either like a car that ran on water or no. Some machine. I sound so stupid talking about this, but I swear I heard about this when I was like in high school.
Mm.
Some mechanism that allowed for endless energy, basically. And what was his big rival at the time? Oh my god, I'm totally going off the fly with
Edison,
this. I didn't
or
do
not
research for this.
Edison, right?
Yes,
Edison? Okay.
Edison. No, Edison. Edison was like he either had Tesla killed, or once Tesla died, Edison got a hold of his paperwork and was like, "Oh, this will never see the light of day because this would basically mean free electricity for everyone, and then my business would be ruined."
Mm.
I mean, there's that. Like sometimes people really dead ass are like, "No, I legitimately think that this new progress would make me less money."
Yeah. I mean, when you
Which
follow the money, stuff like that won't make sense.
you become very irrational. I mean, really, the right mentality about that period, regardless of the money, would be, oh yeah, maybe electricity like should be like
But, oh,
it
totally.
should be infinite and available
Totally,
to
yeah.
everyone in the third world,
Yeah.
and And then I'm sure you'll find a way to monetize that, and you'll live a good life. But instead, you have to follow the fear, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, like I just thought of 10 ways this would make me less money, so I'm gonna just like stay scared, stay on my path, and not allow progress to happen. So
Yeah, I mean, the tough thing is that there are so many sketchy things that happen for sketchy reasons, which is why it's just interesting. Conspiracy theories as a concept are really interesting to me, and like what makes people believe in them. Um, because I think that if people in general looked at the world half as critically as or if conspiracy theorists, I should be specific here, looked at the whole world as critically as they do their conspiracy theories, but used, knowledge of like what constitutes like a real source and things like that, they'd be pretty powerful, Um,
yeah, oh yeah, for
it's
sure, yeah.
yeah, it's just like I don't know, it's somehow kind of sad. It's like this attempt. And I feel like it just connects to the individualist narrative of like I need to be the one to uncover the truth and like the world can't know, the idea that you have
Mm-hmm.
to be on the fringe for it to be a conspiracy theory, that if it's coming out in mainstream sources it isn't anymore, which is
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know, it's just really sad. That's all. We're just in an age of
Yeah,
misinformation.
I know, I completely agree with you. Now about this COVID conspiracy, something that's really funny is you had Madonna post this like wild conspiracy theory about COVID-19 to her Instagram, and then
Ooh.
Instagram actually displayed it as false information. So they like,
Ooh, they said,
and
check
so they
yourself, Madonna.
they hid it, yeah, and then they would like cite facts to correct the post while hiding the post, and then if you had to see it, you'd have to like click on it. It's just kind of funny. The thing she was posting about was this doctor that is like known. I didn't really like super look into this, but this doctor that is known for making these wild claims about COVID-19 that has been discredited many times. She it was making some statement about how the medication you mentioned earlier, hydroxychloroquine,
Mm-hmm.
that it totally worked. Yes, drink it,
Mm-hmm.
like girl,
Oh
10
yeah, I
ounces a
saw
day,
that. I
big
saw
eye.
that. Mm-hmm.
So she was saying that it worked, and Madonna was like sharing this a clip of her talking about it and
I've been seeing
saying
that all
the
over.
truth will set
Yeah.
us all free.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, "Girl," and so she had to take. Yeah, Instagram hit it. I don't know. Actually, she took it down eventually.
Totally,
So,
totally. And
um,
that's also
yeah.
just one of those basic, like, if it were working for every patient, don't you think every other doctor would agree with her? It's not like the whole world want. There's a point at which you have to realize that people are not that terrible. People are pretty terrible
I
and
mean,
greedy, but you know.
but here's Madonna's reasoning,
Mm.
right? She says in her Instagram post that this new vaccine has been proven and has been available for months. However, they would rather let fear control them and let the rich get richer and the poor and sick get sicker. And you know,
What does that
here's
even
the thing about
mean?
Madonna. Like Madonna, like forever thinks that she is like a revolutionary. She thinks she's like this like soldier constantly fighting against the man in the system. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
literally her image, has been for the past like 10 years. So rebel heart, everyone, hello. Madam X, hello. Like this is basically her image now, and so she is always virtue signaling on social media about the people. In the
Mm.
meantime, she's so disconnected from reality that she will post like the most whack ass shit about things like COVID and Trump, which like yeah, Trump is
Totally.
terrible, but I just feel like Madonna is so like out of place sometimes talking about things because she tries to make her seem like, oh, I'm one of the people, but she really isn't.
Mm.
So this is exactly an example of
Yeah.
that.
Well, it's comforting though. No matter
Yeah.
how rich and famous you are, sometimes you're just a crazy old bat. Sorry.
Yeah, basically. I don't think anyone was really questioning that though. But yes. Anyway, that's what I have. I think I'll save my other conspiracies for some other time because boy are they deep. But that is our episode for today, everyone. If you liked it, please do let us know by DMing us at Talk Scary on Instagram and Twitter to just say hi, we like the episode, or to suggest future episode ideas, future topic ideas. Oh, sorry, my mouth is dry from so much conspiracy theory. So reach out to us there at Talk Scary on Instagram and Twitter, and at Scary Talk on our Facebook page. Also, remember that you can listen to us on all podcast listening platforms on Spotify and Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Anchor, etc. Sunny, anything
My
else?
last note, this is a big fact. Pharmaceutical companies spent $900 million on lobbying between 1998 and 2005, more than any other industry. They donated and gave approximately 3 times as much to Republicans as to Democrats. That's for 1998 to 2005. You could check online for how they're donating now. But the main thing, if you want to fight Big Pharma, is to vote for people who are not receiving donations from Big Pharma. There you go. There's your action item for the day. And that's all.
Wow. We love to see it. Thank you, Sunny. She really said big I. Am I right, guys? Anyway, that's the episode for tonight. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
listening.
much.
Yeah, QAnon's a bunch of bullshit. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.